So here in Whatcom County, we've got, looks like, free beer if you get vaccinated. Or free beer if you get a vaccine at participating businesses. So do you know any businesses participating in this yet?
I don't off the top of my head here. I do know that the concern I have with this is, if you're offering that for free, I feel that if people wanted the vaccine, they would have been lined up to get it themselves. So I definitely see a difficulty when you have government or private businesses trying to promote this idea rather than just letting people make their own decisions.
Right. So we've got incentivizing is what we call it. Kind of seems like bribing us to do it. I have a problem with the push that we've seen from the government and from Facebook and Instagram and Amazon, Starbucks. I mean, everybody has just jumped in on this game of, are you vaccinated? Get vaccinated. Celebrate that you're vaccinated. I've never seen anything in my lifetime. So I'm 35. So I could be wrong. It could have happened before in the US, but I've never seen in my lifetime something pushed so hard from everywhere. And to me, I'm not saying there's an ulterior motive, but why? My question is why? Why such the big push on this? And like you said, I think the people who wanted this vaccine have gotten it. Now, I do think there are people who want to vaccinate their children. So maybe not all of their children have been vaccinated yet, but I think adults, some of them might be still on the fence, but I think a lot of them, I don't think free beer is going to incentivize people to go get it. And I'm wondering, so our breweries and our restaurants, they're already struggling, and now the government wants them to give away free alcohol, which is the way they make money. So what do you think?
Well, I think that this is, you get on very risky ground when you have the government promoting, this type of a program. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the future there was a push from local government officials to actually incentivize in a way that is actually dollar money. I don't think when you start here with you have businesses providing incentives, I think very close behind you could run into where the government is starting to do some of this as well with taxpayer money. So then you get into an even bigger issue. Right. Another thing I would mention is there's always been, and I know that local government even has been promoting vaccines and using taxpayer dollars to do that. And again, I have a problem with that. We have, everybody's already burdened with a lot of taxes, and here you have the government overstepping and promoting the vaccines and using taxpayer money to do that. And my question would be, what's next? Where do you stop with that? Are we going to start doing that with abortions? As soon as government starts deciding what's best for the people in America, and even here locally, it just really, I have a lot of questions and concerns that come with that. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, and what's funny is this is a more liberal side of things. Not everyone who believes the vaccine is the way to go is on the liberal side, but this is the liberal side of government pushing this. And it's funny because you mentioned abortion. Well, with abortion, it's my body, my choice. What happened here? Why is it not our choice anymore? And yeah, I mean, and there are employers who are offering bonuses to their employees who are getting the vaccine.
Yeah, boy, you're exactly right, Ashley. It's like once you start this trend of government getting involved in these type of issues, what's to stop the government to continue to push that envelope farther and farther? And that's my concern is, I'm not an advocate for abortion, but you bring up my body, my choice. At some point we're going to have to decide, when can people use common sense and have their freedoms and liberties back to make their own decisions? I think of the phrase, be careful if anybody ever shows up and from the government and says, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And I think we have to be really watchful when we get into these kind of situations. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's starting to create, well, we already have a huge divide in this country. So it's creating even more of a divide when our president says it's time to unite and everybody come together, and that's how we're doing things now. And now we're spreading that gap even further. Yep. And I just don't see how forcing people and not giving them the choice. I mean, our governor just said, your ticket to freedom is a vaccine.
Yeah.
Now, I thought we lived in a free country.
Yes, exactly.
But apparently in Washington, it's like a whole different set of rules. And we're not free in Washington. So, I think, we can get to the vaccine passports, but I think it's time for people to push back on this, because you have the right to get vaccinated. You have the right to wear a mask. But on the flip side, you have a right to do neither of those. And so what do you, as an elected official, what would you tell people? Who should they contact? What should they do in a preemptive strike of the vaccine passports, which we know are coming?
Well, I would say contact your local elected officials and the state. There's the legislature makes decisions, and really you have to do something. And that's where I know a lot of people, and I hear these comments, well, the government's going to do whatever they're going to do. But we need to be involved. Everybody needs to be involved. Nobody can sit back and say somebody else is going to advocate for my rights. And so I would say just start contacting your elected officials and telling them your concerns about your freedoms and liberties. And then the second thing would be, coming, with the primary and then the November election, is vote for people that are going to stand up to protect your rights and your liberties. And again, I hear it over and over again. Well, I'm not going to do it. My vote doesn't count, and everybody's vote counts. And if nobody does anything, we're going to be in a position where this just continues to go on and on and on. And I think that elected officials need to stand up and do what's right, and not necessarily what culture dictates, because that's what we see a lot of. There's a lot of elected officials that believe the same way I do, right, but they stay silent, whether they're just wanting to get more votes for the next time they run for office, or if they're just afraid to stand up for what they believe in. I think we need to work on unity. You'll hear that from me as we keep talking, is we need to bring people together, unity, and this divides us. Everybody has a right to choose to get the vaccine, and like you mentioned, they have a right to choose to wear a mask. I'm totally fine with that, but don't start forcing that on people. And with the vaccine card, we've heard about, well, you'll be limited on where you can travel to, if you don't have this vaccine card. Again, that concerns me, because now you're requiring it, and we're just going down the wrong path, to be honest.
Right. And on the subject of travel, if a country that you're traveling to, they decide to make it a requirement, that's on that country, right? Like we travel and we have to get malaria or whatever. But here, to tell us that we have to be vaccinated to go, what if we want to be vaccinated to go to New York?
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's wrong. Yep. And to get on an airplane to be vaccinated, that's wrong. And when the airlines start dictating what we put in our own body, we've got a problem, I think.